Yeah, how you doing? Nathan Baird, Indy Star. Just obviously, we are just talking to Coach Green. You've got an extensive background with him now, and you've worked with Coach Scherer before too, right? Or at least you're familiar with him. Just how is that helping the three of you get this project started and set on what you want this defensive line to look like?
Well, first of all, the congruency in terms of our staff is not going to be an issue. I think that was one thing Coach Odom was really big on bringing us all here. I played for Coach Odom, so I kind of know the expectation and what he wants. And there's a number of former teammates of mine on the staff, including Coach Shear. So Coach Shear and I, we played together, played in the same scheme together. And then obviously when we got to Arkansas, I worked with him a couple years when he was the linebacker coach, and Coach Odom was obviously calling it. So we were together then. And then Coach Green, the last 3 seasons I've been with him, and he has also had experience with Coach Shear and Coach Odom. But congruency is not going to be an issue, and that was one thing Coach Odom, coming here, he wanted that. It wasn't only just bring the best in and bring people in from all these different places. It was okay. What can I do to have a guys who align, and even asking us, who's someone who does align with us. And Coach Green, I mean, he's probably one of my closest friends in this, but we can also, it's kind of a relationship wise, there's trust built, but we can also agree to disagree on things and have honest conversations. And so there's, working together on the defensive line. It's not, in a lot of schools, you see, two back end coaches. Well, Coach Odom wanted to put a premium on the front. And with how, being multiple in what we do defensively, it allows us to have a specific coach for different positions where I can take a defensive end and we can get to an outside linebacker position if needed. We can play him as an off the ball linebacker. There's just some things that, with how multiple we want to be, that it helps tie it together and helps be able to, put finer detail into what we're doing. And one more thing with that, Coach Green and I, we do meet as a defensive line. So like the other day we had the guys in there and, we talk about whole part, whole teaching. So we're going to show them the whole picture together, separate, teach their part, and then we can bring them back together and put the whole thing together again. And a lot of guys, they respond well to that. Does
Tom,
that,
go.
does that answer?
Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, can you sort of just assess the personnel? I know you haven't been on the field and pads and stuff, but kind of just your early sense on the players you're going to be able to work with here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I got here, there wasn't very many on the roster in defensive end wise. Okay. And we ended up bringing one guy out of we got one guy who was currently in the portal back here at Purdue, Jamari. And then we brought in two guys, Breon and CJ Nunnally. Breon Ishmael from Michigan, CJ Nunnally from Akron. I think, first of all, I'm proud of all of them in terms of their approach to what we've done this far. And, this morning was actually the first time we actually got to see them truly move around. I think you can maybe hear it in my voice a little bit. We just got done doing our first winning edge. And, that was honestly the first time we got to see them in action, face a little adversity, get to see them move around. And a lot of my guys in my room haven't necessarily played a whole lot of snaps. CJ Nunnally, the transfer from Akron, he's by far the one who has played the most. But that also doesn't mean that he's played here at Purdue meaningful snaps. CJ Madden had just around 60 snaps this past year before getting hurt. Trey Smith had some snaps, but I'm excited to see, I'm personally excited to see what I have in my room. To this point, what I can tell you is I'm excited about who they are as people and their approach to what we've talked about, to Coach Rowe in the weight room. They've done everything we've asked, and we're just now starting to ramp up, so we'll be able to get a little better feel for that. But to answer your question, I'm excited about everyone. Landon Brooks, he's coming in as a freshman. Come in, he's a long, came in and he was in the 220s. Now he's in the 240s. And CJ Nunnally coming from Akron, he was light, and now he's close to 260 right now. Breon's gaining weight. Trey's gained some weight. CJ Madden, he's gained some weight, and it's not bad weight; it's good weight. And this is how I can eval them right now, in their approach and how they're approaching the weight room, their nutrition, how they're taking care of their bodies. And Jamari, he's shown flashes where I'm excited to see what he's able to do. And Logan Jellison, he's an in-state kid, and I'm really excited to see what he'll do this spring for us. And then obviously we have Mason Allnut coming in this summer, coming from Buffalo, New York, and I'm excited when he gets here. He's a bigger body, violent kid on tape, and I'm excited to bring him in. I just texted him with him this morning.
Go to Sam.
Yeah, you kind of touched on this little bits, but when you're a defensive end, you really are kind of a hybrid linebacker. And and you talk about these guys all getting bigger, and I imagine that you want them to get bigger, but also not lose speed and things of that sort. But so, what's kind of the ideal athlete for what you're looking at as a defensive end for this defense?
Well, in this defense, the good thing about the way Coach Shear and I, Coach Odom, we have played about every scheme you could think of. We played in it while we were at Missouri. At Arkansas, we had to adjust our personnel. At UNLV, he adjusted to personnel. So a little bit of this spring is we're going to see where we're at. And I don't necessarily, with my guys, like you can tell when a guy's getting too heavy. But guys ask me a lot, and recruits ask me a lot. Well, what weight do you want me at? Well, honestly, I'm recruiting good football players. I want a good football player, and I want you to be able to move at the weight you are at. But I also don't want you to really force. You need to have the correct habits to be able to put on the weight you're supposed to. But at the end of the day, I don't want you to panic on, I got to get to this weight. I think we can feel that out. Like there's a couple guys in my room right now that I'm saying, okay, I think, 255 is a good weight for you. Let's try to stick around there. But all the body types I have in my room, I'm into good football players. Obviously, you love length. You love guys who, are able to separate from offensive linemen. But we've got all kinds of shapes and sizes in our room right now. So, I think the biggest thing is as coaches, we can't just be limited to whatever we know. We have to adjust to whatever is the strong point of our guys, the best 11 that are going to be on the field together. So I'm not necessarily have this prototype figure. Obviously, when I'm recruiting, I have there's that you want to see length, you want to see. I'm not necessarily you got to be 6'1" plus. You got to be. I'm not necessarily with that. If you've got length and you're 6'1", you can probably play in this league. And if you're a good football player and you have the other intangible things. But I don't know if that answers your question, but we do have a lot of body types in our room. And we are kind of figuring out right now what we're going to be. Obviously, we're going in with a plan and kind of we're projecting a little bit on what we think, this guy can do. But we are willing to adjust based off of what our guys can and can't do.
Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, Jake, you kind of touched on it, the Winning Edge program. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like? And I believe you went through that as a player as well. So just what do you remember about going through that and how much that helped you guys when you were a player?
Yeah. So like the big thing with Coach Odom, like our motto here is hard, smart, tough, and simple wins. If you have those things, you give yourself a chance. And in terms of implementing what we want here, and what it takes to win, it's been a proven process since I played. And it's being able to pay attention to the details, to put your hand behind the line while you're tired, while you're in rep 20, after doing a whole different circuit station. And it's having the ability to focus and pay attention to that detail and finish while you're tired and while you're going through a little bit of adversity. It's changed over the years a little bit, and rightfully it's gotten better over the years, but it's also something that you have to go through hard things to be able to have have a galvanizing process. I think, and every year it's not just a year one thing. It's every year you have to continue to build on it. I going through it at Missouri, it was if you're prepared and if you treat it like a game, if you treat it and have your approach as a scrimmage where I'm going to prepare my body, my mind, you will go and dominate it. It's not like this undoable thing. And then having the pride and toughness to be able to stand tall between reps and to be able to breathe but not only is it during it, but it's your pre-preparation that trains guys to be able to, what are my habits through the week, and what are my habits in the weekend, coming out of the weekend on Tuesday. And we're getting up early. I mean, we've been going for 4 hours now, a lot of us. So it's just, it's dealing with a little adversity, putting them through it. And that's part of the galvanizing process. So that you guys understand that toughness wins. And you'll hear Coach Odom say that over and over. And that's our mindset behind it.
Go back to Nathan.
Yeah, can you go into a little more detail on CJ Nunnally, and is there anything you guys have seen from him, so far, that gives you some insight into why he had the success he did at Akron?
Yeah, his approach is he brings a veteran mindset to the room that's really good for honestly, and this isn't it's just an inexperienced room. That's just the fact. And CJ kind of brings in that older veteran mindset, and I think he would tell you, early on in his career, he's been to Jackson State, Independence, to Akron, and now he's going on his fourth school. And you tell me that is adversity in and of itself, moving that many times, having that many different coaches. And so I think he's brought a presence that is really good for our room, a maturity. And I think he was galvanized over time, and he obviously he was back-to-back All-MAC kid. And I think when you look at sacks, when you look at stats, and this is NFL down, most sacks are effort-based. Most sacks are like it is not stopping on a play. And we will teach how to cross chop, how to double swipe, how to defeat an offensive lineman. But at the end of the day, it is effort. I do think his mindset and effort is what has allowed him to have success. That's one of the things that was super attractive for me is, yes, he checked boxes in terms of physical size, but it was when I made the calls on who he was, that's what sold me on him. And that's what it tied the whole story together. Yes, he's got tools. Yes, he's got some athleticism. But it's his mindset, it's his approach that separates him. Now it's a clean slate with the whole room. And he hasn't necessarily showed, like, he's got to show me continually, just like everybody in the room. And I think it's a competitive room. I'm excited about what they'll all put together through this spring.
Back to Sam.
Jake, you're coaching defensive ends at a school that is known for producing NFL caliber defensive ends and ones that go on and have great NFL careers. How kind of appetizing is that if you're recruiting a guy for that position, you have a list somewhere in that football building that says, hey, all these guys came here and made a name for themselves and made it to the league?
Yeah, I mean, the den of defensive ends, it's written in the lobby. You go in the lobby and there's a spot on the wall, and I'm sure you guys have been here to where you've seen that. There's something on the lobby that's the den of defensive ends, and it's got all of the history of great defensive ends that have come through here. And honestly, I mean, I'm grateful to have this opportunity, but to have it at a Big Ten school like Purdue, at the highest stage, and I'm super grateful. And no, I don't take that lightly. But it's also something in recruiting I'm absolutely trying to show guys that you are able to have success here, and show the guys that have done it. Everyone needs the example that's come ahead of them. And, that gives confidence of, okay, that can be me. That is something I show our recruits. Yes, to answer your question. And no, I don't take it lightly. I would love to have some of those guys come back. I know Roosevelt Colvin, he was around at one of the basketball games, and it's obviously you get to you see George Karlaftis playing in the Super Bowl, and you use all those things because it's guys that have done it before, done it here before, and also guys that take pride in being a Boilermaker, and that's what I want to help instill that into our guys, make it a like challenge the guys that I currently have here, that this is the standard that has been set. This is the expectation. And so production there's been production in the past, and we expect that to keep going.
And then last thing for me is just your relationship with Barry Odom probably is much different as a coach, with him being your boss than as a player. But as a player, what makes him a great football coach and gets you to buy into what he's selling?
In terms of coaching is about earning trust from your players. You want your guys to trust you, and it really they don't care. I mean, you've heard the cliche saying, but there's so much truth to it. Is they don't care how much you know until you know how much you care. And Coach Odom truly cares about his players. And I think if you look at our staff, that is a living testimony of that, of guys that he has poured into in the past and has brought on staff here, guys that he knows share the same vision he has and have done it before. But as a player, I think, Coach Odom, he loves his guys and he is pouring into them. Every guys are young men are hungry for accountability and structure. And I think he challenges them, and it may be a hard process at first, but eventually guys are very grateful for that. And the guys that hold on to that and run with it are the guys that have a lot of success. And I don't think that's necessarily just in our program, but I think that's throughout college football. I think that's throughout sports. But I think he challenges you to get the best out of yourself. And I think that's the best quality he has as a leader. And he challenges us coaches. And so the difference is now I'm on the other side of it. I see the accountability that he has to us in challenging our guys. I think it's one thing, he challenges the players, but he's also challenging us to be that example, to challenge them in ways to get the most out of them. Coaching is teaching and motivating players. And he's exceptional at that.
Any more questions for Coach Trump? All right, cool. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
We'll have Coach Shebus up next.
Nice to meet y'all.